Welcome back to day 7. Yesterday we did supervised learning, where every example came with the correct answer attached. But here's a question that might have been nagging you. What if you don't have the answers? What if you just have a giant pile of data and nobody's told you what any of it means? Can a machine still learn something useful? It absolutely can, and honestly, it's one of the most fascinating corners of AI. It's called unsupervised learning. Today I'll show you how it works, and then we'll watch a real algorithm discover hidden groups in data completely on its own. Let's dive in. So here's the core idea. In unsupervised learning, there is no answer key. None. We hand the machine a pile of raw examples with absolutely no labels telling it what's what, and we basically say, here, find some structure in this for me. There's no right answer we're checking against. The machine's whole job is to look at the data and discover patterns that were already hiding in there. Think of it like dumping 1,000 mixed-up photos on a table and asking someone to sort them into sensible piles without telling them what the piles should be. They'll find groupings on their own. That's the spirit of it. Let's nail down what makes this different. In supervised learning, we knew the answers and taught the model to reproduce them. Here, there are no answers to teach. Instead, the goal is to find structure that's naturally present in the data. The machine groups similar things together. It can compress data down to its essence, and it surfaces patterns nobody pointed out in advance. And that last part is the magic. Because you're not telling it what to look for, unsupervised learning can reveal things you didn't even know were there. It's a tool for discovery. Side by side, the contrast is clean. Supervised learning has an answer key, and it learns to map inputs to known, correct outputs. Is this spam? What's this price? Cat or dog? You already know what you're trying to predict. Unsupervised learning has no labels at all. It looks for hidden structure, natural groupings, and patterns, and you're often exploring, not predicting. One is like studying with the answers in the back of the book. The other is like being handed a mystery box of data and asked, what's interesting in here? Both are incredibly useful for different jobs. The most common and intuitive flavor of unsupervised learning is something called clustering. Clustering just means automatically grouping similar things together. You don't define the groups ahead of time. You let the data sort itself into natural clusters based on how similar the items are. Customers with similar habits drift into the same group. Documents about similar topics land together. And the beautiful part is, you find out how many natural groups there are and what they look like by letting the algorithm show you. Let me actually show you this happening, because it's genuinely cool to watch. Okay, look at this. Every gray dot here is a customer, placed by their habits, maybe how much they spend and how often they visit. And notice, there are no colors, no labels. The machine has no idea who belongs where. Now watch what happens. Those 3 glowing rings are the algorithm's guesses at where the group centers are. It starts by assigning each dot to its nearest center, then it slides each center to the middle of its dots, then reassigns and slides again. Watch the move. With each pass, the centers drift toward the real heart of each cluster, and the dots snap into cleaner and cleaner groups. And there, now let's do that for real, in code. Imagine you run a shop, and you've got data on 64 customers, just 2 simple facts about each: how much they spend per year, and how often they visit. You suspect there are different types of customers in there, but you've never sorted them. So we'll hand all of it to a clustering algorithm called k-means, ask it to find 3 groups, and, importantly, we will never tell it what those groups are. Let's see what it comes up with. Here's the whole thing, and it's short. We load our customer data, X. Look closely, there are no answers in here, no group names, nothing. Just the raw numbers for each customer. Then one line does the work. K-means, find 3 groups, that fit the data. That's where it hunts for the natural clusters, exactly like the animation we just watched. Afterward, .labels gives us which group each customer ended up in, a label the machine invented itself. We never defined a single group. Let's run it and meet our customer segments. And look what fell out. 3 clean groups. And they're not random, they're meaningful. Group 1, about $300 a year, visits twice a month. That's your budget, occasional shoppers. Group 2, around $900, visits weekly, your steady regulars. And Group 3, over $2,000 and 9 visits a month. Those are your VIPs. We never told the machine about budget shoppers or VIPs. It found those segments purely from the patterns in the numbers. That's a real, useful business insight, discovered automatically. And that's the whole point of unsupervised learning, right there. Nobody labeled those customers. Nobody defined the segments. The structure was already sitting inside the data, and the algorithm surfaced it for us. This is how companies discover customer segments they never knew they had, how they spot natural categories in their data, and how they make sense of huge piles of information that no human could ever label by hand. It turns raw data into discovery. And unsupervised learning quietly powers a lot. Companies use it to discover customer segments and market patterns, like we just did. It's behind recommendations, grouping you with similar people to guess what you'll like. It's fantastic at anomaly detection, because once you know what normal clusters look like, the weird outlier that fits nowhere stands out, which is great for catching fraud. And it's used to compress and organize enormous data sets down to their meaningful structure. Whenever there's too much unlabeled data for humans to sort, unsupervised learning steps in. Let's lock it in. Unsupervised learning works with no labels and no answer key. Its goal isn't to predict a known answer. It's to find hidden structure in the data. The most common form is clustering, automatically grouping similar things together, and we literally watched it discover 3 customer segments from raw numbers. Its superpower is revealing patterns you didn't even know to look for. Supervised learning answers questions you already have. Unsupervised learning helps you find the questions in the first place. So that's unsupervised learning, the art of finding hidden structure in data with no answer key at all. And you watched an algorithm discover real customer groups all on its own. We've now covered the big families of how machines learn. Tomorrow, we're going to crack open the engine behind the most powerful modern AI, the neural network. I'll explain what it actually is, in plain English, no scary math, I promise. It's going to make a lot of things click. Thanks for building with me today. See you tomorrow on